Good evening and welcome to the Housing Committee. Today is Monday, April 10, 2023. Voting member to my left, Councilor at Large Rich Russell. To my right, Councilor at Large Anna Levy. And also to my right, Councilor District C. It's not budget yet. Councilor at Large Selena Reyes. I'm sorry, we have another meeting later on today. And Councilor District C, Gregory del Rosario. Pursuant Chapter 20 of the Act of 2022, this meeting of the Housing Committee is being conducted both in person and via remote participation. A reminder that a person that would like to listen or to view this meeting while in progress might either attend in person at the location above or use one of the following as its location: the Lawrence City Council Facebook page and also the Lawrence City Council YouTube page. At this point, we have no minutes. Before we proceed with the agenda, please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Today we have a few items at the Housing Committee, and we're going to start right away with item 8923, which is the direct disposition of real estate 147, 149 Exit Street, the map 106, lot 53. It was put together by, or sent to us by Francisco Sorello, the Assets Officer of the City of Lawrence. Some information about this parcel. This is located on 147, 149 Exit Street. The lot area is 2,325 square feet. It is located on a Business 3, B3. The status of the property is a vacant lot. The access value is $21,700. The estimated value to the city, once it get into function with the new owners, it will be about $525 coming up to the city. Since this is in a business location, is the assessment value of $21,700 times $24.21 per each $1,000. So we're gonna provide and allow the opportunity to Francisco, which is here with us tonight, to explain to us a little more as of the direct disposition for this property. So Francisco, by all means.
Outside of the structure they need for outside dining. They cannot build another building there, as well as it can only be used for dining purposes only, not as a nightclub or anything else in that nature.
What is the abutters address for the record? The abutters address of the property.
151 Exit Street.
51 Exit. So this is disposition is going to be done to the abutter, which is located on 151 Exit Street, as at this point. So you might continue.
Yeah, the full address 151, 153 Exit Street.
So the purpose of this this sale is to extend dining. So the intention is to become a restaurant eventually.
Your name and address.
My name is Alexis Cepeda. I'm the owner of Aqua Lounge.
Name and address for the record.
151 Exit Street, Alexis Cepeda. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to change the more of the nightclub environment. We're trying to do more like a dining experience as well. So try to bring in food. So we don't have the space indoor to do it. So that's why we're looking outdoors, at least for the summer, to try to come in with a summer menu and provide food for the customers.
Right now, there is murals on the property. Are you planning on taking those down? Are you going to keep it for the decoration of the property?
We're planning on keeping it. Yep.
Good to know. Councilors, there is any question in regard to this direct disposition? Councilor Rich Russell.
Thank you, Chairman. Are you planning on having outside entertainment with your dining process?
Entertainment meaning like a DJ?
Outside music
Outside music?
of any manner or form?
So we might, we actually thinking of doing background music. It's the same, not having like a actual speaker outside, but we're gonna try to provide some type of music, you know. So not so in a loud level, obviously, because we understand there are actually tenant living living right in front of our business. But we are planning on doing like surround speakers, like, you know, like, so you don't have to have a loudspeaker running all night.
Well, the only reason I ask is I know all of us know there are several people that complain about music from some of the clubs down in that environment, and I don't think any of us want to deal with that. We just want to, at least I do. I mean, I spent too many years working around loud noises, and soothing is good.
Exactly, background
Loud
music.
is definitely not good.
Yeah.
Okay, the only other question I have is how much is this, this may be for Mr. Cerullo, how much is any changes to this property going to add to the tax rolls, money-wise?
Thank you, Councilor Russell. $525.36 per the annual tax.
With any changes that he makes,
Changes wouldn't affect
that there aren't going to be any physical changes to the property that it's going to increase the assessed valuation of it?
No.
I have a quick question, when are you finished? Yeah. All right. Is this parcel gonna be joined, with the actual, property on 151, 153, Access Street? On the tax?
Yes. Yes.
So,
So that parcel's gonna be built, they're gonna have to, after everything's said and done, they're gonna have to unite the two parcels together. But with the restrictions are still gonna be the same, where they can build to extend for outside dining. They cannot build another building in that particular parcel. And the restrictions of just used for restaurant purposes, outdoor dining, there's not gonna be a allowance for an extended nightclub at the end.
you should look into that, because, I mean, it could be that the current building might be extend to maximize the space of the location, and if we put restriction that actually limit them to a point that they won't be able to do much with the space, that might hurt the whole thing of selling them as a direct disposition. Remember, this is not a yard sale.
Right.
Sale. It's a direct disposition.
We've had that conversation prior to coming here, and they're aware, and they are in agreement.
All right. Just look into that if you can. We have one more step to
Right.
actually discuss this. Councilors, there is any other question in regard to this item 8923? If there is none, now I entertain a motion. All right, there is a motion to send it to the full council for approval. It's been properly second. All of us are here, so all of us in favor, please say aye. Aye. The ayes have it. So we have the meeting on the 18th, which we're gonna be discussing this item at the full council level. So we're gonna be able to provide you with that information, so make sure that you're here in case any other councilors have any questions. Thank you and good luck with your, with the plans. Thank you.
Have a good one.
One more item for the Housing Committee today, which is item 1823 out of the table matters. So I'll entertain a motion to take item 1823 out of that on table 1823.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to on table item 1823, properly second. I call the questions. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. The ayes have it. So disposition for real estate property of 3335 Almond Street is map 149 lot 26. It was put together by Cerullo. Cerullo, explain to us a little more about this.
Thank you, Council Chair. This particular item was tabled because of a snow day back in January. So this is going to be sold through the Mayor's Yard Sale Program. As you know, $1 per square foot. They cannot build on the property. They're going to be used for parking space and yard. And is the annual tax, the tax rate is $11.44. Adding in, annual tax rate would be $22.88. But this particular property will be merged with his current property. And the 2,700 square foot, with the sale price would be $2,000 and $700. $2,700.
So, councilors, we have a different program that we were gonna be selling this property if everything goes through, which is basically through the yard sale. Different than the previous one was a direct disposition. This is gonna be a yard sale, which is $1 square foot. Councilors, any questions in regard to this specific property? It is important to recognize that we're gonna have a series of restrictions on the property when it comes to building, when it comes to other deep restrictions that allow the property owner to have that as a parking lot or green space or many other things, but not necessarily building on it because we're using the program of
Correct.
The yard sale program.
And as you noted, they will not be able to come for the lifetime of the deed to come back and request to build another property on the
Are
premises.
you aware of that?
Yeah, we are not planning to, we are not
Name and
planning
address
to,
for the, name and address for the record.
Tu nombre y dirección.
so Cheyenne Rivera, my address is 83 Myrtle, and I'm forward to 33 and 35 Alma Street. So we are not so we are not planning to build anything there. We always clean it every summer. It's always dirty. People throw trash there all the time. So it just marched to my property. So that's the reason we're trying to buy this property.
Okay,
'Cause
perfect.
go ahead.
And parking lots or
Just spend my yard on it.
just expand it? Okay, perfect. So you're planning on building a fence or anything to make sure people doesn't dirty it?
Yes, perfect. That's what we're trying to do with that.
Any questions, councilors? All right. Just make sure that you have kind of like, those lines aligned, like in terms of, we're going to build a fence and so far so on. So in case the councilor have any questions, you might answer it that way.
Absolutely.
All right, great. Thank you so much, councilors. Since there is no questions on this property, so I entertain a motion at this point.
Motion to send to the full council with favorable recommendation.
All right, we have a motion to send it to the full council with a favorable recommendation. It's also second, so I call the questions. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. We're gonna have a meeting on the 18th. So you're gonna be asked to be here. So in case the councilors have any questions in regard to this property, you might answer it, and Sorello also gonna be here to answer it. Thank you so much, councilors. There is any other items that we would like to untable at this point? So I hear no, I entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, there is a motion on the table to adjourn this meeting. Properly second, all those in favor, please say aye. The ayes have it. Thank you
night,
so much,
council.
councilors. Good evening and welcome to the Budget and Finance Committee. Today is Monday, April 10, 2023. Voting members to my left, we have Councilor at Large, Ana Levy. To my right, I have Councilor District E, Stephanie Infante, and also to my right, we have Councilor District C, Gregory del Rosario. Pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Act of 2022, this meeting of the Budget and Finance Committee is being conducted both in person and via remote participation. A reminder that a person who would like to listen or to view this meeting while in progress might either attend in person at the location above or use one of the following access location: the Lawrence City Council Facebook page, also through the Lawrence City Council YouTube page. So, councilors, we have no minutes today, but before we continue with the meeting, so join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilors, we have a 4-item agenda tonight, so let's try to go a little faster on these, especially on the first one. Item 9023, the revision and approval of the annual application to HUB for Community Development Block Grants, CDBGs. That is for the amount of $1,551,622. And home grants, $944,075. It was put together by Susan Fins, the Management of Finance and Administrative Services of the City of Lawrence. Councilors, we review and approve this item every year, and we have the opportunity for the CDBG funds of 2023. So, by all means, Susan, give us an update on the CDBGs.
Sure. Good evening, councilors. Our FY24, which starts on July 1st, is funded with the federal FY 2023 CDBG and home grants. HUD announced the allocation of amounts on February 28th. As Councilor Rodriguez said, we are receiving $1,551,622 for CDBG. This is a reduction over the current fiscal year of $27,846. We'll be receiving $944,075 for home, and we're estimating $14,058 in program income. This is an increase. Yes, Councilor.
Can you repeat the amount so if it is any discrepancy?
Sure, $944,075 for home, and we're estimating $14,058 in program income. This represents an increase over this year of $38,397. So our action plan process began in November when we did outreach via newspaper ads, flyers, radio announcements, emails to nonprofits, as well as personal contact with nonprofits. We engaged the assistance of Ernie Cintron of EN Solutions to assist nonprofits in preparing their applications. This service was available to any nonprofit who did not receive CDBG funds this year and also received less than $50,000 in federal funds last year. So the CDBG budget, which you have before you, has $575,000 for park improvements, $75,000 for infrastructure improvements, $93,672 for homeowner rehabilitation, $10,000 as a match to Emmaus to house formerly homeless individuals from Lawrence, $25,000 to support the Mayor's Health Task Force, $264,882.60 for the payment due to HUD on the Gateway Section 108 loan, and $310,324.40 for administrative costs. There is a statutory cap. Oh, yes, Councilor.
And there is also a CDBG's home improvement rehabilitation of $93,000.
$93,672, yes. So there is a statutory cap on administrative costs of 20% of the grants. An RFP process was conducted for the public service funding. Applications were made available on December 1st and were due on January 20th. Applicants were required to attend a mandatory application workshop on December 7th. If an organization did not attend this workshop, they would not be eligible to apply. There were 51 people in attendance at the workshop, and when the applications were received, they were checked against the attendance sheet to make sure someone from the organization attended the workshop. We received 27 applications requesting a total of $842,078. We had $197,743 available for funding these applications after funding the $10,000 to Emmaus and the $25,000 for the Mayor's Health Task Force, because there is a statutory 15% cap on public service activities. The Community Development Advisory Board, or CDAB, is made up of residents that review the applications and make funding recommendations to the mayor. The members of the CDAB for this year are Mercedes Hernandez Rondon, Jeanette Jimenez, Chastity Marmol, Gigi Martinez, Marta Rentas, and Wilman Urena. And I want to publicly thank them for the time they dedicated to this process. Applicants did a 3-minute presentation to the CDAB on February 6th, and the CDAB met on February 15th to decide on the recommendation. The actual allocation was not yet known when the CDAB met, so we based their recommendations on an estimate of funding. On March 28th, staff from our office, Dan McCarthy, Awilda Pimentel, Marlene Ferrer, Kate King, Marisol Colon, and I met with the mayor and the chief of staff, William Castro, and presented the CDAB recommendations. The mayor made his final decisions on funding, and that's what's here before you this evening for the public service activities. The home budget, which you received, has $172,114.25 for homeowner rehabilitation projects, $141,611.25 for certified community housing development organizations, known as a CHODO. And again, this is a statutory requirement to set aside 15% of the grant for certified CHODOs. $550,000 for housing development projects, and $94,407.50 for administrative costs. There is a statutory cap on administrative costs of 10% on the home grants. So this evening, I'm asking you that you approve the annual action plan budget, authorize the expenditure of these grant funds, and send this to the full council to order a public hearing to be held on May 2nd. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
So walk me through the 15%.
Which 15%? There are
The 15% that is required to go to the different organizations.
So the 15% public service activities?
The 15% come out of that 1,551,000?
Yes.
Is the 15% 197,000?
It's the $197,743 plus the $10,000 for Emmaus and the $25,000 for the Mayor's Health Task Force.
So the mayor task force, it's also included on the 15%?
Yes,
Why?
because they'll be working on public service activities such as working with homelessness, substance use, gang activities. So that falls under the public service cap, according to HUD's definition.
Okay, interesting. This is the first time that we're doing this?
It is, yes.
Okay, this is new. That's why it was kind of like odd to me.
Yeah, no, this is the first time we're funding the Mayor's Health Task Force.
Because usually the task force is funded through other organizations, perhaps the hospital and other source of funds.
The task force is funded through the determination of need funds from Lawrence General, but we're just about out of funds from that. In December, I think we had about $134,000 left out of that funding. Plus they get various grants through public health organizations in the state.
We receive other grants and so far so on. So this is kind of odd a little bit because usually what we use that the community 15% is straight for the community.
Mm-hmm.
Don't take anything away. When we look at the budgets, to me, that doesn't make any sense for any organization doing this. $6,000, $7,000. This is a lot of paperwork for the amount of work that they need to have first at the beginning before they do anything.
Yeah, there is
They
a
apply
lot
for
of paperwork
reimbursement.
involved with federal funds, I agree.
Kind of like doesn't make any sense, but I'm only one councilors. So councilors, any question on this? Councilor Levy.
Thank you for the information. So every year, I know that we are going through all of this. I have a question regarding disqualified proposals. So 22 proposals were disqualified?
No, proposal number 22 and number 27.
Or just only two?
Two, yes.
Okay. So do you know?
Yeah, we number them as they're received. So proposal number 22 had proposed an ineligible activity that we are not allowed to fund, and proposal 27 was non-compliant with requirements.
So another question regarding like it's proposal number 21 also did not accept the grant in Flight 22. That's why the reason that they were disqualified.
So proposal 21 was not disqualified. In FY '22, they declined to take the funding. They were awarded $10,000 through the process, but they declined it.
But that was for Flight 22.
FY '22, correct.
Yeah. So now we are working on Flight 23. So they did not accept.
24. This is
24.
for 24, starting July 1st.
So there is a mistake over here? Proposal number 21 did not accept grant Flight 22.
They did not apply in '23,
They did not apply on 23.
correct.
So they did not accept it on 22, and now also he was ineligible. So,
No, they're not ineligible. Why do you think they're ineligible?
because I'm reading it here. In the
Proposal-
information that we got,
Yeah, proposal number 22 is
Oh,
ineligible,
okay.
not 21, 22.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. The proposal 22, oh, okay, yes. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Councilors, there is any other questions in regard to the CDBG's funds? Councilor Rosario.
Thank you, Chair. Who determined the amount of money that they're gonna get? Because if I'm reading right, I mean, they request an amount,
Correct.
and they get an amount, and then I see the mayor's recommendation. So what's the amount that they actually get, and who determined how much they're gonna get?
So they request a certain amount. The Community Development Advisory Board reviews the applications. They make a recommendation to the mayor, but the mayor has the final decision on how much funding they get.
Okay, so, I don't get it, but that's fine. So mayor's recommendation is what they're gonna get,
Correct.
but, so wondering how, if I'm running a program and I request $30,000 and you're gonna give me $5,000, so would I run the program with $5,000 when I actually needed it, 30,000? How, that's what I'm trying to get. Because none of them got at least 20% of what they requested.
I think it's up to the organization if they can fund the rest of the program with other sources of funds. They can certainly take the 5,000, or if they wish to decline, they can.
Because they have to pay those 5,000 in advance.
Correct.
To get 5,000 back.
Yes, this is a reimbursement grant.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Councilors, there is any other question? So, quick question. On the 10%, the mayor is using $10,000. There is another way that we can source that same task that they're gonna be doing through the CDBG's funds? Send us the 25,000 from their health task? Mayor's health task?
So you're asking if we can fund that, the 10,000 for MAS and the Mayor's Health Task Force somewhere else?
Within the CDBG's. So So within the CDBG's funds, the almost 2 million so that we have in front of us, there is another way of funding those things
No,
just through
they have
this
to,
part?
they have to come out of the public service cap.
Gotcha. All right, no problem. So, Councilor Infante. And I don't disagree that they do a great amount of work. I actually agree with everything they do, by all means. This is one of the organizations within the administration that do the most with the people. But I mean, for some reason, somehow, a lot of organizations depend on these funds to be able to function, and by probably not be able to identify of the source of funds for the health task, we might be able to now receive more services through those organizations. So I agree that they do a lot of work, and I'm not disagreeing with what they do, but I just not 100% into, source funding them through this grant, because this is going through a specific, small organizations that have not much around. It's not like we're dealing with a lot of organizations that have a lot of funds. I mean, there is few, obviously, but there is others that are very small and sometimes kind of like, that's basically what I'm saying. So if it is other way to source what they're doing, it will be great. That's why I was asking to see if the health task is still getting funds from the hospital, because most of the fund, I believe, were coming from there before.
Yeah, the original amount from the hospital was 2.5 million, but we've just about used that all up, because it's been 7 or 8 years now since we got that money. So the task force is expanding their role, so they're going to be involved, maybe helping out at fires and dealing more with homelessness than they had in the past. So that's why this decision was made to put it in this budget.
Councilor Infante.
Thank you. And also, the funding from the hospital is not guaranteed. I mean, it's great that they did, what was the amount again?
It was over 2.5 million.
It's great that they gave us that, but I think, given some trends, like we don't know if that funding from the hospital will be there. So I think it's a great thing that the city is taking initiative and being proactive and we're trying to fund those organizations through city, through funds that the city
And if I might add to that, the money we got from the hospital is based on capital improvements that the hospital does. They're required by state law to put a certain percentage to community health organizations when they do a capital improvement, like when they did the big surgical unit in the emergency room. So that's where that funding came from. And we've been told by the hospital they don't have any plans for any big capital improvements in the near future. So I don't know that we'll be getting any funds from them anytime soon.
Like I said, from the get-go, I agree with everything that the health tax do, but I mean, I just kind of like, these kind of like, these 15%, we have seen the CDBG's fund, and we have fight so hard for years for those organizations to get those funds. And sometimes we even stop the funds because of small organization is not getting an amount that is kind of like, that makes sense. So seeing that situation there, I just look at the numbers and find it out. But I think that, the health task is something that should be funded, of course. I'm not promoting not funding it. But I think that, I don't know, it's kind of like, I still haven't get it. That doesn't mean that I'm gonna vote against it, because there's a lot of organizations that are depending on these. But that's my thought. Councilors, any questions?
Yes.
Councilor Levy?
What happens when those organizations by the end of the year do not spend the amount that was allocated to them, what we do with the money that's is still there.
So if they need a short extension on their contract because they just haven't finished their program, they're allowed to ask for an extension on their contract. But if they finish their program and they haven't used all the funds, those funds would roll back into the city and we could allocate them to some other organization.
To another organization that's are in here, or whatever organization that come out after
It could
everything is
be
being
either way.
closed?
It could go either way. And it doesn't necessarily even have to go to another public service activity. It could go towards a park project or a public improvements project.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor Infante?
I'm sorry if you did already say this, and that includes organizations that deny the funding that we're allocating, or?
Yes, so if anybody decided they did not want to take the funds, we could reallocate those funds. Of course, we would speak to the mayor before we made any decisions like that, because it's really his determination.
And would those organizations have to go through the application process as well, or is it just determined, you speak with the mayor and determine the organization? How does that work?
We generally haven't given it to any organization who hasn't been through the process in the past. So they've been vetted, we've checked their credentials and all that.
Any questions, councilors? There is no question, so at this point I entertain a motion.
Motion to send it to the full council with favor recommendation.
All right, there is a motion on the table to send it to the
Excuse me.
full council with a favorable recommendation.
And to order a public hearing.
Properly second, and this is
public
to
hearing.
order a public hearing. Thank you. And the motion is to send it to the full council to order a public hearing. It's been properly second. I call the question. Any questions in regard to this? Since there is none, I call the questions. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you so much, and I guess in 3 weeks? I mean, yes,
Should be
we're gonna.
May 2nd, I believe.
Yeah,
it is.
May 2nd. All right, thank you so much. See you there.
Thank you, councilors.
All right, councilors, we have a couple of the items in front of us. Councilors, we have 2 collective bargaining agreement. We have Mark Iannello here in front of today with us. So let's proceed with those. Item 9123, which is that SEIU Local 3 Clerical Union Collective Bargaining Agreement with the appropriation of $112,100 for the current year salaries and wages. It was put together by Mark Iannello, our CAFO. So Mark, please explain to us a little more about this item.
Good evening, councilors. In my cover memo, it just gives you a brief synopsis of, a brief outline of what I'm seeking. And you can see there's a financial transfer involved with this, and it goes to, this is the clerical union, Local 3 clerical union, and obviously many departments have clerical staff. So there's a number of different transfers I'm requesting. We already have this appropriated in the current salary reserves account, so we just have to transfer from the salary reserves to the departmental appropriations account. So that's basically my cover memo. I've also attached my CAFO certification that's required for any collective bargaining agreements. That's in your packet. But what I would like to review is the one page, I have a contract synopsis, which summarizes the terms of the collective bargaining, or the memorandum of understanding. So that is, looks like this, a little summary. So I'll just review that briefly. The contract expires 6/30/22, the current contract. So this agreement is for 7/1/22 to 6/30/25. So it covers 3 fiscal years. The general changes to the collective bargaining agreement are, we made some management rights, changes to some management rights, a clause, just to add clarity and spelled out a few of the items in more detail. So that was what we consider kind of housekeeping. And this union has a clothing allowance increase for the 911 call takers. I guess they did not have uniforms, or not uniforms are required to be worn, but that's something that the police department wanted them to wear uniforms, so they have a uniform allowance of $750. Hours of work, this was an important union because this impacted, the mayor has expressed an interest to stay late, have employees stay late on Tuesday evenings so the public could come after, we would be here after hours, one night a week, and then there'd be a early release on Friday for whatever extra time they spent well, it's proposed Tuesday evenings to work until from 8:30 to 7 p.m. So people could come in after work and still get their business done in City Hall. So that's something that we had to negotiate with the unions, and this clerical union would be impacted the most, but we've also got it approved with the inspectors union. That'll be coming down the next council agenda. We're negotiating with the supervisors and administrators now, but we expect that is not something as a point of contention. So it seems to be well received. Go ahead, Councilor.
Can you specify a little more, like, for the public and for the public to have that information? What is, who is in that union, the clerical?
This is the clerical union, so it's the,
Like, when the people walk to City Hall, who are they gonna find?
well, well, they'll find everybody because it's going to be something, we're negotiating with all the unions. So in other words, so for City Hall anyway, it's not necessarily for Department of Public Works, they don't deal with the public. So the union, we describe City Hall, and then the Community Development Office does a lot of public, dealing with the public. So for the Community Development Office and City Hall is where we're primarily, we'd like that to stay open till 7 o'clock so people can conduct their business after work. So that was so we negotiated with all of the unions that would have employees working past 4:30. Would they agree to it? And it's been well received by the unions, the employees, obviously, although it might be difficult to start, working till 7. There would be an early release on Friday. So if they work till 7, I think the early release for each of the unions is slightly different, but I believe it's roughly 1:30 on Friday. So we would close early on on Fridays. So it would be, we get the same number of hours from the employees.
So, the clerical, the members of this union, of the clerical union, is basically anybody that receive people and talk to people?
In general, the clerical union has all the clerks in City Hall, the 911 call takers are part of this union. I think this union also has the parking control officers, or is that in DPW? Trying to see if but in general, it's the clerical staff of the city. So it wouldn't impact the call takers. They work a 24-hour operation. It wouldn't impact the traffic control people. This would just be applicable to the clerks. So that's the general intent. So City Hall could stay open on Tuesdays until 7 p.m. with a commensurate early release on the same Friday. So that's a major thing that we were able to negotiate, and it was well received. We also, they've approved of, in case we want to provide or institute an automated timekeeping system, which is what I'm interested in installing, that would, the union agrees to use electronic methods to enter their time going forward. And then there's an outstanding grievance with the call takers being forced to work overtime. So this agreement eliminates that grievance, and we agreed to pay the call takers or give the union 21 paid compensatory days to split amongst their union members, which I think there's 9 911 call takers. So that settled that grievance, and we agreed to give them that comp time. So that's a highlight. The one thing that's missing from this synopsis is we also gave them the holiday Juneteenth, which all unions, we negotiated that. It's happened the last couple of years. We've given the holiday, so we just formalized it. and in your copy, we missed the, in editing, we missed the, to include the Juneteenth holiday, so I do have a copy received from the union with the signature acknowledging the Juneteenth holiday, so I've got to have the mayor sign that. And then just the cost of living increases for this union, it's a little complicated. The grade 8, at 7/122, the grade 8 employees, which is generally the, I believe in this case, it's the traffic control people, they'll receive a 2.5% wage increase. The grade 9 call takers will be reclassified to grade 12 and agree to work overtime and have mandatory overtime, but not more than 3 shifts within a pay period, because that's something that was point of the grievance. When a call taker calls out sick, a police officer was forced to work overtime to cover. Police union filed a grievance because they didn't want to cover for the call takers, so we had to negotiate with the call takers to be forced to work overtime, and in return for that, we increased their pay a little bit to make it worth their while, and also gave them those 21 hours that I spoke to of compensatory time earlier that they could split for those people who were, did work forced to work an overtime shift. So that's taking care of the call takers. And then the grade 12 employees at 7/122, which are the principal clerk typists, they're receiving a one-time payment of $1,500 for 7/122. On January 1 of 23, the grade 8 employees receive a 0.5% wage increase. We're just splitting the amount between fiscal years, or 6-month increments. And then the grade 9 clerical employees, all the grade 9 clerical employees, which are senior clerk typists, will be reclassified to grade 12, which is a principal clerks. They'll move from grade 9 to grade 12, and they'll be eligible for step increases each January 1 until they get to the top of their step. In addition, we've received approval from the union to enable all the clerks within City Hall to be cross-trained within the department and outside the department. We've had some instances where certain grievances have been filed over the years because a clerk is doing one job and can't be told to do another job. They would file a grievance. So this was something that we negotiated with the union, pardon me, so that the clerks could be cross-trained, and now we only have a principal clerk only we will no longer have senior clerks, and principal clerks will all be principal clerks, and they're agreed to be cross-trained within the department and outside the department. For example, if the assessor's office some staff is out for whatever reason and we needed somebody from the treasurer's office to just go answer the phones in the assessor's office, we now could do that, whereas before we would get a grievance filed from the union. So that was a major concession, or a major point of this agreement, was to get that all resolved. There were quite a few outstanding grievances regarding the call takers, might have been some regarding the parking officers, and also the just the general clerical staff. So that's a little complicated. That first year, 7/122 to 6/30/23 is a complicated way we've structured the increases in pay. But then on July 1/23, everyone gets a 3% increase, and July 1/24, a 3% increase. So that's a one-page synopsis, if you will, a summarization of what we negotiated in the contract. Also attached is a copy of the memorandum of understanding for your review, and my CAFO certification I alluded to earlier.
Councilors, we have a critical union collective bargaining agreement of $112,100. There is any questions in regard to this? Yes. Councilor Levy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, if we approve this and we send it to the full council, it's being approved, So those increase are going to start on July 1st, 2022?
Yeah, the contract, the last contract was expired 6/30/22, so this one starts on 7/1/22.
7/1/22, so
back,
it's
yeah.
gonna be, any payment is gonna be retroactive to the 2022?
There will be some retroactive payments to 7/1/22 for those that are in the union as of the ratification date.
So how this is gonna affect the budget?
We already have this money in the budget, it's already allocated, and we have roughly, we have $1 million in the salary reserve account, which we put in last year's budget, so we've been, we're just starting to come down to the council. I think we came down to the council with the parking employees and the parking enterprise fund, and I think we came down with a foreman. I think they've already been down in front of the council, so all of the unions will be coming, and we're making transfers from that salary reserve account to the individual departments, so they can make these, so they can pay these increases within their fiscal year '23 budget.
So still we're gonna have, so if we pay all of this amount, still we're gonna have money available on that account, or everything is gonna be transferred?
It's going to be transferred from the salary reserve account to the individual departments, as I've outlined here. The DPW, the Public Works, Police, Inspectional Service, whoever had a clerk. These are all the departments who had clerks. So we're going to transfer a total of $103,000 in the general fund from the salary reserve account to Public Works, Police Admin, Inspectors, Inspectional Services, Treasurer, Collector, Fire, Cemetery, and the Assessor. And then in the Airport Enterprise Fund, they had one employee who will get there's $1,500 from their retained earnings account to their airport, and the Water Enterprise had a couple of employees, so there's $7,100 from retained earnings to the Water Admin salary account.
So how much right now we owe if we pass this? How much do we owe to?
It's $103,000 in the general fund, $1,500 in the airport, and $7,100 in the water sewer, for a total of approximately $111,000.
Okay, thank you so much.
Councilors, there is any other questions? Councilor Infante.
It's not in their base pay, it's a one-time, we're calling it a one-time payment, like a ratification payment. It's a one-time sum, because on 7/1/22, the grade 8's got a 2.5% increase, the call takers are being bumped up, so we needed something for the grade 12, with, you know, it's hard, so we just did a one-time payment of $1,500, and then on 1/1/23, the employees will get grade 9 employees will get bumped up, and grade 8 will get bumped up. And then in 7/1/23, they get everybody gets a 3% increase.
And this one-time payment is also coming out of the reserve?
This salary reserve, is this calculation I have covers all of this that's going to be paid out in FY '23.
Councilor Levy?
Mr. Llanero, this payment is gonna be done before or after the budget season?
It's going to be paid, was one of the things I was going to ask, if we could waive the 30 days so we could pay this out. Everybody's looking for this, this increase. But this will be paid out as soon as it's approved by the council at the next council meeting, hopefully. Then we need a week or so to calculate the actual amounts owed to each individual employee, depending on when it gets approved by the city council. And then we will schedule it for, we'll include the increase in the following paycheck. So it usually takes us a couple weeks to actually, we have to go to everybody's, every position in this union. In this union, I believe there's approximately 40 to 45 clerical, maybe closer, maybe 49 clerical employees. So each one, we have to go back and see who, you know, it's quite complicated with this, grade 8s, grade 9s, and grade 12s. So it'll take us a little while just to calculate for each individual who's going to be impacted. But my payroll director, Donna Cole, usually does a pretty good job and can spit this out fairly quickly for me.
Okay, so we're gonna be practically ready if being approved by the council.
Yeah, and it should be ready a couple weeks thereafter in everybody's paycheck.
Thank you.
Councilors, any other questions in regard to this? I hear none. At this point, I entertain a motion.
Motion to approve and send it to the full council with favor recommendation and wait the 30 days.
Second.
All right, there is a motion on the table to send it to the full council with a favorable recommendation, and also recommending the council to waive the 30 days. It's been properly second. Any question? I hear none, so I call the question at this point. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Councilors, we have another similar item. Item 9223, which is that ACIU Local 3 Water Union Collective Bargaining Agreement, CBA, with the appropriation of $15,000 for current year salary and wages. So, Mark, please take the opportunity to explain to us a little more on that.
Well, in this union, there's roughly 6 positions. I think there's 5 current employees. This is there's a, sorry, I can hardly read my own printout here, but there's a cross-connects, my eyes are just not what they used to be. Cross-connection supervisor, there's meter inspectors, and there's a cross-connection inspector. So there's roughly 5 individuals that this agreement applies to. They're in a separate union of the SEIU Local 3. Again, this current contract expires 6/30/22. I'm sorry, the last contract expires 6/30/22, so this memorandum of understanding is for 7/1/22 to 6/30/25. Again, a 3-year contract for FY '23, '24, and '25. Attached is a CAFO certification, as I'm required to give you, and the transfer is from all of these water employees work on the Water Sewer Division, so all of this transfer comes from the Water Sewer Enterprise Fund and is transferred over to water. They all work in the Water Admin Division, so it's $15,000 is the approximate total. And again, with my 1-page contract synopsis summarizes the terms of this agreement. So again, it's the new contract term is 7/1/22 to 6/30/25. We again made the same management rights, changed the management rights clause for clarity and expanded on it a little bit, so there's less disputes. There's a clothing allowance for, currently the employees get a clothing allowance annually, but they wanted to have it reimbursed for tax purposes. So employees, for current employees hired before 7/1/17, they're eligible for reimbursement of their clothing in the amount of $600. Employees after that date get $200, but it's only for reimbursing for protective boots, because they don't really wear uniforms or anything. So there's a little discrepancy between the existing employees and the newer employees. Again, we have the hours of work. Sometimes the water department does work here in City Hall. So so in case we did change the hours, we got approval from this union. They would agree to the change in hours, but we don't expect them to actually participate in the early release, but we got it just in case. Again, they agreed to an automated timekeeping system should we use electronic devices. We added Juneteenth in this agreement. We didn't miss it like we did in the last one. And then we increased the water license stipend, roughly $100 for each of the, there's a grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, and grade 4. We increased it, I believe, $100 across the board. So there's if you get a grade 1 license, it's $300 annually. Grade 2 is $325, grade 3 is $350, and grade 4 is $400. And again, on 7/1/22, the cost of living increases are everyone in this classification, instead of getting an increase in a percentage increase, we we made a market rate adjustment. These employees seem to be a little bit below the area communities, what they're paying, so we increased each of the positions at $1 an hour as a market rate adjustment, and then they have a one-time ratification payment of $500 for those who are in the, at the time of ratification are in the union. So again, it's just 5 employees. And on 7/1/23, there's a 3% wage increase, and on 7/1/24, another 3% wage increase. So that summarizes this water unit.
Any questions in regard to this item? I hear none. At this point, I entertain a motion.
Motion to approve and send it to the full council with favor recommendation,
Can we waive the 30 days as well? I'm sorry.
and recommend to waive the 30 days.
All right, there is a motion on the table to send it to the full council with a fair recommendation, recommending the council to waive the 30 days. Any questions? Yes, I do have a question. Mike, do you mind having the, having a suggestion perhaps, having this contract signed by everybody before we sit in the full council?
Sorry. Yeah, I do have the contract. Actually, the contract's on the mayor's office being signed. In the clerical union, that's the one I had to send another one up to the mayor's office for.
Just have everybody signed by
Yep.
the next meeting that when we
You know,
sit again.
the employees get anxious, once we get the agreement, they want to, when are they going to get their increase in pay? And so we try and time it so I get it down here and get the contracts back from the mayor's office at the same time. But I'll try and do that for the next one. I'll make sure we have it. I think the next one is the inspectors union. I just got that signed yesterday. I think they're having a ratification vote, I think, this week. And then, so I'll wait to get it down to the council until I get the signed version, which is, it just delays it another week or so, depending on when the mayor's availability to sign it.
Thank you so much, councilors. No more questions. At this point, I call the questions. All those in favor, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Caffo.
Thank you, councilors.
Let's continue with the agenda. We have item 11923, which is the appropriation transfer from salaries and wages of $43,092.50 to professional service and administration, and authorizations to pay prior year's bill. It was put together by Rosa Chalper, the Lawrence Police Department Director of Support Services. Ms. Chalper, thank you. Welcome again for being here, and explain to us a little more about this item, please.
Good evening. The reason for this memo is that we are, I'm asking the City Council to approve the relocation of funding from the budget salaries and wages temporary to other purchases for the Animal Control Department and for the Lawrence Police Department. The reason why is because we have a few past due invoices that we need to be able to clear. And seeing that we're close to the fiscal year, the budget is a little bit high. So I'm asking if I'm able to go ahead and do a transfer to pay in full all these past due invoices.
Councilors, any question in regard to this item? So I have a question. So the first 2 pages on the package, we have 3 different vet services?
Yes.
Or there are different services?
For the vet, it's 2 different. One is Angel Care, which is the hospital, and then you have the Bulgers Veterinary, which is in Dover on Winthrop Ave.
Okay. So and then we have Lantel,
Correct.
and that's for
The city cameras.
city cameras. So 15,000 for the 15,876 for the city cameras.
Yes.
Then we have 12,000 for vet services
And yes.
for the animal control department. And we also have 14,465.14 cents for another vet services.
That is correct.
All right. Councilors, any question in regard to this item? All right. So basically, we are transferring 43,000 from the salaries and wages, temporary. So this line item, how often are you using this line item? And do you expect to have it perhaps an extra amount of money on this line item that you'll be able to tag these funds to pay these bills?
Well, so right now, the lantern bills, which is the city cameras, is something that we're working to have a contract, to have a specific amount to pay, because as of right now, we're paying on-call services. So I would definitely, Deputy McCarty is working to get a specific contract with a specific amount. And yes, I will be seeking for a line item just for the city cameras. But again, it's not going to be something that is going to be going up and down all the time. For the angel care, we're working with the animal control department to have better control on how we are treating the Lawrence animals.
My question is more regarding to the line item of the salaries and wages. So are we going to be having, those funds are not going to be used by the police department by the end of the fiscal year?
No, they are not. They will not be used. They will not be used. These funds will not be used. I went over with the Ned, which is the payroll person. I went over with Ramona, the controller, and no, those funds we will not be using for the FY23.
So how many vacant positions you have in the police department that you're expecting not to fill?
Right now, we're not expecting to fill that position. Okay. As of right now.
But are you guys expecting it to fill it up next fiscal year?
I don't think we are. Well, no, I don't think we are, no.
I mean, if this money is coming from salaries and wages, means that a position is not being funded.
So we have 8 in the academy now, and we are in the process of getting more recruits, but we don't have any at this time. So that's a process that won't happen until next fiscal year. So as of now, until the end of this fiscal year, that money will not be used, but we're hoping to fill those whatever empty positions we have next year.
Okay. So next year will be filled. All right.
We're going to do our best to do that, yes.
All right. Councilors, any questions in regard to this? I hear none, so at this point I entertain a question. I entertain a motion.
Send it to the full council with favor recommendation.
All right, there is a motion on the table, properly second, to send this item to the full council with a fair recommendation. Any question? I hear none, so I call the question at this point. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you so much. I'll see you next week.
Thank you.
There are table matters that we would like to discuss. I hear none. At this point, I entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Councilors, at this point, I entertain any particular nomination for the chair of this body.
Second.
All right, there is a nomination for chair. There's any other nomination? At this point, nominations are closed. There's no nominations. Let's vote on the nomination. I accept the nomination. Thank you, Councilor Infante, for nominating me. So I call the roll call. Councilor Levy?
Yes.
Councilor Infante?
Yes.
Councilor Rosario?
Yes.
And I vote yes on the nomination. At this point, councilors, I entertain a nomination for vice chair for this committee.
I nominate Councilor Anna Levy for vice chair.
It's a nomination in the same proposed. It's been second. Anna Levy, do you accept the nomination?
Yes, I do.
All right. There is any other nomination at this point? I hear none. So at this point, I call the nomination. Councilor Infante.
Yes.
Councilor Rosario.
Yes.
I vote yes on the nomination. Council Levy.
Yes.
All right, so now we have a chair and a vice chair for this committee from now on. Councilors, is there any other motion on regard to this meeting?
Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations to you too.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, there is a motion to adjourn, properly second. I call the question at this point. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it.